thank you so much. Thank you for talking to me. And before we get to like the awesomeness of what you did, I have to say I was really impressed with sort of how you handled your actors, because usually there's this notion that like they just become like pawns in the spectacle, but they facilitate what's awesome about the movie. How quickly did you figure that out during your process?
Oh, very quickly. I mean, I think everybody knew what movie they were making is the main thing. We knew that we were making a big, popcorn movie that was meant to be fun for the audience. And, sometimes that means being serious, but most of the times that means, kind of being in on the fun of the characters and, pulling the audience in. And, so they all kind of I think that's the most important thing. It's like, and that's probably like the biggest compliment I would give myself as a director is just allowing the actors to accurately know what movie we're making, because I think sometimes they're not totally sure in big movies like this because you're just not clear on what the tone is that the director's going for. And I think everybody just was kind of on board with what I wanted to do.
No, I have to say kudos to you, because usually when that happens, it becomes like an obstacle. But here they sort of enhance what you're doing.
Oh,
but let me ask you this: like the script, the narrative of the script has very much antagonist, protagonist sort of relationship between the title of characters, and I don't want to spoil anything. But was it hard, as somebody who's a fan of sort of the history of both of them, to sort of like not play favorites? I mean, I have twin boys, and I have that problem all the time. But you have like these colossal monsters. How did you keep yourself in check to sort of not pick sides?
At a certain point, the movie kind of takes on a life of its own, and the characters start kind of you start kind of following them weirdly. I don't know how to describe it. I mean, because at the end of the day, I love both of the characters. I came into this knowing who I thought would win the fight, but I didn't. But I never had a problem of saying which one do I like better or worse, because they both are so cool in very different ways, and they both have different specialties, and they're honestly just such different characters that it never became one or the other. Like I never really had that problem.
All right. So as somebody who sort of values sort of the film history of these two characters, how quickly, I mean, I know you did die, but in terms of your process of sort of getting the battle on screen, how quickly do you let that pressure go of having something to live up to? Or do you think you need to hold on to that to sort of push yourself to find the best thing to get on screen?
Yeah, like the battles honestly were the easiest part of the movie. I mean, like,
wow.
Because like once you're working with like the top VFX people on the planet, once you kind of start pitching things to them, that they're going to find the coolest way to do what you want to do. And so that's really the funnest part. Like the more difficult thing was figuring out how to keep the story as dense as possible, and move all the characters from all these different locations that we have in a way that doesn't feel forced or doesn't take away the weight and the of what their mission is. But so that was more challenging than the actual battles. You would think that a movie called Godzilla versus Kong, that that's going to be like the thing that you're going to get hung up on, but that was fun. That's why I did it. And yeah.
Seems like you found in each sequence, you found the perfect place to put the camera to just make it even more colossal from what's happening. So my question, besides geeking out on you, is storyboards, or was that something that was loose? You found it along the way? Because it just seems like you look at that, yeah, that's the frame, that is just killer.
Like it's kind of different for different sequences, because like for instance the ship battle, the ocean battle was was probably the most consistent sequence we had in the entire film. It was in the script from the get-go. Like the in and out of it maybe was different, but like the sequence itself was essentially the same. And so I had the longest to work on that one and flesh it out. And so we were able to, really explore it fully, through storyboards. And, we really looked at the whole sequence and tried everything that we could think of within that. And then we whittled the storyboards down. And then from there, we gave that over to the animators, and we started prevising it, and they were able to do a pass on it. And then I worked on it with my editor, and then we kind of whittled that down. And then we had sort of a version of it for a while. And then once the whole film was shot, then we did another version of it. And it just, it just keeps evolving as you go, right? And that sequence, like the actual topography of the battle itself sort of implies of, what you're going to do with it. It's like the ocean itself is part of the battle, and that's really cool. And that's what you're kind of playing with. The ending of the film is much more challenging. The big actual throwdown between Godzilla and Kong, because that's the one where you actually just have to have them fight it out, and we're still using the terrain as an interesting part of the battleground, like Kong is using the city like a jungle, swinging through it. And he actually turns it into an advantage, even though you would think that this is Godzilla's turf. But that one, I don't think we had it all storyboarded. I think we had parts of it storyboarded, but we were kind of so in the zone at that point in editorial that a lot of times that we would I would have discussions with my VFX supervisor, and he would get his team working on things, and they would just like come up with an animation, like just kind of like, here's a section of this sequence, and sometimes here's a couple alternate angles, and we would sort of whittle it down in editorial. And I know this is a long way of explaining this. There's really no short way.
No, I mean, it really is interesting. So,
and well, so like then it kind of turned into a thing where, I think it was also because my VFX supervisor and I at this point were so in sync with each other that I was able to just tell him what I was thinking.
Zero in.
And he could like throw some stuff at me. And then if I didn't like the angle, we would try different things. But a lot of times, like they had such great animators that they were bringing stuff to me that I couldn't even think of. And so I was able to kind of pivot based on what they were giving me. And I really like that. So I like taking inspiration from other people. Like I love working with cinematographers that come up with ideas and angles and things that I would have never thought of. I'm always pushing people to bring things to me, and then I like to try to interweave that into my own vision. But I'm not one of these people that says it's got to be exactly like this. I think that's too rigid. I think that you're working with such talented creative people. It's like you try to bring out their creativity into making the thing that you're making even better.
No, and you most definitely did that. So thank you so much for your time. The movie's awesome. Stay healthy wherever you are, okay?
Appreciate it.